What's going on, friends? Sometimes Harley-Davidson can hit the mark and get everything oh so right, but at the same time, still end up missing the target by a long shot. Harley-Davidson has done this quite often throughout their history, and here recently, we have definitely seen them doing that. Now, I'm just going to say it, but Harley-Davidson has one of the best rider training programs out there. They are probably one of the most comprehensive, in-depth, 2 or 3 days that you could actually spend, even if you're a new rider, or if you're a seasoned rider, it's always good to go ahead and take one of those classes. But the issue is that, what do you do after that? Because Harley-Davidson right now has been completely missing the mark for what comes after that. There's some big changes coming to Harley-Davidson, and as we all know, Harley-Davidson needs to grow its customer base, but at the same time, I hate to say it, but Harley-Davidson is going to have to diversify. They have to offer some new models that are going to reach a broader range of riders. Now, as I mentioned, Harley-Davidson has an excellent rider training program. This program is probably one of the most accessible programs out there, as sometimes it's hard to find a rider training program, especially if you've never ridden a motorcycle before and you want to get out there and get on the street. Now, Harley-Davidson really had a great idea, and honestly, they had the lock on this with the rider training program, the jumpstart, where you could go sit on the bike, and if you've never ridden, you could go through the gears on it, get a feel for what a motorcycle is actually like. These are all excellent things that Harley-Davidson has in place. Now, when this started, Harley-Davidson did have some more entry-level, beginner-friendly motorcycles for street bikes. But since then, those have gone away, and they've really been absent for many, many years right now from Harley-Davidson's lineup. And not to mention, if Harley-Davidson is going to get back into making some kind of starter bikes, the best thing that we could do for anybody is basically make it to where you don't become a victim of a Harley engineering. So if you or a family member have been a victim of Harley engineering, guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Yeah, no lawyer is going to take a case on being a victim of Harley engineering unless it's something really serious like the brakes on the trikes or any kind of safety issue. If it was just engine failure, you're pretty much on your own, and that's just the Harley tax, basically. That's just the cost of owning a Harley and enjoying Harley-Davidson. So if Harley-Davidson is going to get into building beginner bikes, the main thing that we've got to consider is hopefully Harley-Davidson doesn't make these folks that are coming into the brand victims of their engineering, which we're all pretty much used to. Depending on how many years you rode Harleys, you've been through different levels and stages of this. So the reason why I say Harley's rider training programs are so accessible is that most all Harley-Davidson dealerships will offer a rider training program. Now, depending where you live, this is a lot more friendly than going through your local DMV, your local state office, or whoever might provide motorcycle rider training to you. Now, as I mentioned, if you're a seasoned rider, it may be a good idea to go ahead and take one of these classes because maybe you've been riding around for years without your motorcycle endorsement and you finally got caught. Now, guys, I can tell you from experience that I've been riding motorcycles for 35 years. 26 of those years have actually been on the street. And guys, I took the new rider course myself. And if you go into it with an open mind, you will learn things and things that'll make sense, and you can apply what you already know into the class, and you'll also pick up some new things. This is awesome because any new rider coming into Harley-Davidson, this is the gateway to get new customers in. But the problem is that Harley-Davidson has not offered anything that is beginner friendly after the class. They used to have the Street 500, they used to have the 750, maybe even the Iron 883 or the Sportster 1200. These were always the entry-level motorcycles into Harley-Davidson, as you all know. So naturally, after the class, new riders would jump on one of those motorcycles, but now we're asking something that's really big of somebody that's never ridden a motorcycle a day in their life. They came in on a Friday night, spent 4 hours in the classroom, and then 8 hours out on the range on a motorcycle on Saturday and Sunday, getting a feel for the motorcycle, going through the class, and then taking the test. and then they go down and get their motorcycle endorsement. So what comes next for that Harley-Davidson? Because right now, Harley-Davidson has absolutely nothing to offer those folks other than a 90 horsepower Nystr Sportster or 125 horsepower Sportster S, or if you get past that, you're looking at a $15,000 Softail Street Bob. Now, in my personal opinion, those are not really great places to start for somebody just coming out of a class to jump up, buy a brand new motorcycle and jump on something like that. That's a lot to handle, especially if you're a brand new rider. So what is Harley-Davidson doing essentially? They're putting you out there in their Harley-Davidson Riding Academy. They're putting you on the X350 now, which is a motorcycle that is not available for sale here in the US. So you took the class on that bike, you liked it, you enjoyed it, you want one, but you can't buy one. Now, this wasn't the case when they were using the Street Series motorcycles, as they were trying to push you onto a Street 500, a 750, or an Iron 883 after the class, and you also got a little bit of a discount on those motorcycles if you purchased afterwards. But right now, Harley-Davidson has absolutely nothing to offer, and with nothing to offer, we train them and then they leave. They go to another brand and get something that's a little more friendly for their skill level for a little while, with the hopes that after they build their skills, they're going to come back and buy a brand new Harley-Davidson. Now, what really got me thinking about this was Harley-Davidson's CEO. The man had zero experience with motorcycles whatsoever. He walked into the dealers, I mentioned in my last video, bought a brand new motorcycle and signed up for the rider class. Now, buying a Heritage Classic and never having any experience with motorcycles, and you're going to go take a new rider course and then be ready for the road at that point, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of skill development that's got to come with that, and granted, being a CEO, he could probably afford to wrap that motorcycle around a telephone pole, not even bat an eye at it. But for the average off-the-street person to come in and you're asking them to buy, at minimum, a $10,000 to $15,000, maybe $20,000 motorcycle after a 3-day course, that's a pretty big ask. Now, what's a little smaller ask is to maybe buy like what we used to have, like the Iron 883. That would be a perfect starting point to get out there, come back in a year, and maybe get on something a little bigger. And you got to think, for a brand new rider, I know we all dog on Harley's horsepower and torque, but right now, Harley-Davidson motorcycles and the Big Twin, you're looking at a minimum of 100 horsepower and roughly 120, 130 foot-pounds of torque. Now, that's not really a lot to you or I, but to somebody that is brand new to motorcycles, that is going to be an absolute handful for them to get out and try to handle. Unless you just have natural talent, you go through the class and you take to it like a fish in water, but that's not always the case with the majority of riders. It takes time to build your skill level up to something like that. Yeah, granted, you might be able to handle the weight, you might be able to handle the power, but if you rode a motorcycle long enough, you know it's just not really a great idea because shit happens. Yes, they do need to diversify. They do need to make some lower cost options, but they need to make them about as reliable as the old Evolution Sportster was. Now, granted, we're probably not going to see another air-cooled V-twin in that class. They're probably going to be something liquid-cooled V-twin. Just hopefully they do it a little bit better than they did the Street Series. Because having entry-level bikes, just because they have Harley-Davidson on there, if they just don't quite hit the mark, people aren't going to be willing to pay Harley-Davidson's premium for what they're asking on their bikes. So guys, let me know your opinion down in the comments. Do you think Harley-Davidson needs to diversify, start making some different kinds of motorcycles, kind of like the Pan America, especially venturing into the entry-level market a little bit? I think so, personally, just because they've got the rider course. You got to give somewhere for people to go, and maybe they're not quite ready for a big twin, and they don't really have any business being on a 90 horsepower Sportster. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What do you think about that? But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. If you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. But till next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars. I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.